Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're going to give just a couple minutes for everyone to jump on, and we'll get started. Thank you. All right, everyone, I'm going to kick it off. So welcome, everyone, to Ask the Experts, Cisco SASE and Maureen Data System Service offerings. This is our latest episode in our Ask the Experts series, so thank you so much for joining us. Today, we are going to discuss how Cisco SASE is enabling teams the ability to work effectively and securely from any location. And I'm going to kick it over to the team now for introductions. Over to you, Jason.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Lindsay. Appreciate it. And welcome everyone again to today's Ask the Expert session. My name is Jason Rebar. I'm a senior engineer here with the Maureen Data Systems security team. Just want to start kicking things off here by going over a really brief agenda that we have lined up for you today. I'm sure everyone is anxious to get to the main topic for today, but we'd like to take just a quick few minutes at the opening here to give you some information about Maureen Data Systems, or MDS, some quick company background info, some of the solutions that we deliver and the strategies on how we do that. Then we'll pass it over to our guest speakers to talk about the Cisco specific solution that we wanted to get into for today. We have a question and answer period reserved, so be sure to use the Q&A functionality of today's live event to add the questions as the meeting goes along. And then we'll wrap up with some next steps that we think might be helpful for you and many organizations. So again, to start things off, just a little bit about who MDS is. We've been in business for a little over 25 years now, 100% women-owned business with headquarters both in New York and Miami, as well as a satellite office down in San Juan. We are a Microsoft certified gold partner, Cisco Premier partner as well, really helping to, as it says there, create business value and operational excellence through technology. Just a little quick blurb here about our purpose, our mission, our values. Really want to help our customers and partners through every stage of their cybersecurity program, whether you're simply planning it out, working on building it, or actually operating and running your cybersecurity program. We do this through a number of different methods, which I'll get to in just a moment, but really want to help across the entire spectrum, whether it's privacy, compliance, securing your new business innovation, but ultimately working to help you identify, reduce, and mitigate any risks that we come up against. We like to work with senior levels of the organization to really get management buy-in for the very important initiatives that we help organizations tackle. We typically take a zero trust approach, whether it's single cloud, multi-cloud, on-premise, wherever it might be, but understand that those items don't necessarily exist in a bubble. So there may be GRC, or as I mentioned, privacy concerns that come into factors as part of that entire process. And we help organizations understand the larger picture at play. So using items like plan, build, run, across the entire framework of detection, prevention, response, recovery, whatever it might be. Again, also incorporating not just the tools, but the people, the process as well, to make sure that it is an entirely holistic approach. Just to give you an idea about some of our offerings at the moment, you could see there's quite a few things on this list. I'm not going to go through every bullet here. Starting off, though, with some of our security and compliance offerings, you could see that we also offer not just risk and posture assessment, GRC management, secure transformations, but outside of the security space also do a number of other things, whether it's applied innovation, working in the Azure cloud, rapid deploy options there with Azure Virtual Desktop, and a number of other items, collaboration efforts for teams, as well as even managed services. Underlying all of that, again, is some of the core security fundamentals that we take into play, so that, again, nothing is operating necessarily in a bit of a bubble. Here, too, to drill in a little bit more about our security, compliance, and privacy offerings, you could see we offer a wide breadth and depth of solutions here. Again, not going to read all of these items here, but hopefully it gives you a sense of just how many ways that we can help organizations throughout the entire process. Again, either building, packaging things together, providing some level of advisory services so that you can then operate and run with your own cybersecurity program. As I mentioned, we have a number of advanced specializations, both with Cisco and Microsoft, highlighting some of the Cisco items of security, networking, collaboration. I think you'll find, as our guest speakers talk, all of these come into play with today's topic. So I want to make sure that we call out our ability to assist companies in those organizations with those types of efforts. Just to give you a quick sense of the types of clients that we have, you can probably tell fairly quickly that we don't necessarily operate in just one vertical. We work with a number of different types of organizations in different fields and different sizes. So if you are facing any sort of security, risk, compliance questions or operational efforts within the organizations, we're pretty confident that we can certainly help you take those up and take them to the next step. So with all that said, we're going to turn over now to talk about how Cisco's solution in particular can help address the very modern problem of dealing with the explosion of data, devices, and users across a variety of spectrums, be they on-prem, data center, or in the cloud, with the SASE offerings that they have, this secure access service edge items that we want to make sure you better understand and can really identify how Cisco might be able to assist you there. So with that, I'll pass it over to our guest speakers, Tom and Kevin. Go ahead, guys, take it away.
All right, let me get some content up here for us. Okay, you guys seeing my screen come through now with the slide?
Not yet. I am not seeing content.
Okay, bear with me one moment.
Thank you.
How about now?
Yes, sir.
All right, excellent. So real quick introductions. My name is Kevin Switzer. I'm a technology consultant with Cisco and been working with Cisco for about 14 years now, and originally started out as kind of a multi-architecture role. And it was about 8 years ago when Cisco decided to kind of go all in with security, starting with the acquisition of SourceFire and then a number of other different security companies. And they decided, okay, we're going to really focus on dedicated resources towards these new security solutions. So I've been focused entirely on the security side for the last 8 years or so. And I'm joined today by my teammate, Mr. Tom Mann. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kevin. I also am covering Cisco here. I'm a senior security engineer. I have over 30 years of IT experience, both infrastructure and security. Real heavy focus on security the last few years, but I'd like to integrate with a lot of different technologies. So here to help, and Kevin's going to present first, then we'll switch over to me, and hopefully we'll have time for a little demo at the end. Go ahead, Kevin.
All right, thanks, Tom. Get the slides going here. So to get started on where kind of the basics and background of where SASE got started, and this is going back several years, and we typically saw internet traffic looking like this. About 80% was internal. We typically had data centers internal on-site running the vast majority of the business apps, and only about 20% of the traffic was going to be external at that time. And honestly, architectures and security were a bit easier and not quite as sophisticated as they need to be today. We've seen those shift over the years, where we're seeing pretty much the complete opposite. With so many different cloud applications and services, we're now seeing about 20% is going to be internal traffic, and about 80% is going to be internet or external traffic. And a number of problems have arisen over the years, specifically with application performance issues, a poor user experience, not being able to fill all the gaps within security. So many different tools, and geez, there's the number of vendors that play in the different security spaces can be just mind-blowing. And with SASE, of course, this is not a Cisco term. This is an industry term defined about 6 years ago by a variety of different educational bodies out there. And just to provide you with one of the definitions out there, this one's by Gartner. The Secure Access Services Edge is an emerging offering combining comprehensive WAN capabilities with comprehensive network security functions, such as secure web gateway, cloud access security broker, firewall as a service, and zero trust network access to support dynamic secure access needs of digital enterprises. So that's the industry definition. Fortunately, when this became really a good strategy, Cisco already had solutions in place to fill these needs. So primary SASE functions, software-defined WAN, cloud access security brokers, secure web gateway, firewall as a service, and again, zero trust network access. And with Cisco SASE, we always boast the 3 C's, so connect, control, converge. So the idea is, starting out, we need to provide connection for those users, whether they're in the office, whether they're remote office, or if they're working from a coffee shop or whatever. We want to make that connection available and automated as much as possible and simple to connect wherever the connections may need to go. And of course, with that, we need to control that access, applying the zero trust, multi-factor authentications, and those types of things. So in the end, we want to have a converged type of experience. So we're able to connect and it's secure, and wherever we're going to, we're able to connect to the main office, to our cloud applications, those types of things. So with Cisco SASE architecture, of course, we can provide secure connection access regardless of location or device. We want to be able to optimize performance so you're getting clear audio, clear video presentations, those types of things. Of course, we're going to adopt a zero trust approach with our network access. Goal is to deliver the best application experience, so you're not having blips in your connections, those types of things. And once everything is working properly, it's going to make employees more productive and the business more agile, and that's the end-all goal. Now, the main components of Cisco's SASE architecture, they really fall into 2 main pillars. And one is on the networking side. So that's going to be your software-defined WAN, and from Cisco's solutions offering. There are 2 options. If you happen to be a right fit for Cisco Meraki, SD-WAN is built right into that platform. If that is not a good fit for you and you're working with some ISR routers or different vendor routers, we also have an SD-WAN solution powered by Viptela. And of course, for remote access to that, AnyConnect VPN as well as Duo. And the other main pillar is going to be the security side, which we're focusing on today. So again, Umbrella, which has the secure web gateway, firewall as a service, DNS security, and also the CASB features. For zero trust network access, we're going to be looking at Duo, and also, and again, this typically falls a bit more on the networking side, but for observability, Thousand Eyes, which is a new acquisition from Cisco. And just to kind of give you a background of all the different Cisco solutions and what makes them so secure and so effective is the back-end team of threat research and intelligence. Cisco calls that team Talos, and any security vendor out there has a team like this, and it's really the secret sauce to any security vendor to making their solutions effective. So with Cisco's, they have over 400 full-time threat researchers and data scientists that are strategically located in offices around the world, so that they offer around the clock, all year long coverage for threats that are coming in. And they see so much telemetry, threat intelligence. There's so many impressive statistics. We could talk about this for the next 20 minutes. And basically the way this operates is a couple of ways. Every Cisco security solution that is deployed out there, it basically acts as an enormous network as a sensor. So just for example, a Cisco Firepower firewall is operating somewhere, and it detects a threat, it knows it, it blocks it, it feeds that information back to the Cisco Talos team. And it's receiving this type of information from all kinds of customers, all kinds of devices out there. But it's giving them a huge overview of what types of threats are still relevant, what are still being used and attempted, and all those types of things. So obviously, they're able to use that information to a great advantage. Just a couple of stats: 5 billion reputation requests per day, 2 billion malware samples seen daily, 5 billion category responses for IPS and URLs blocked daily. And just a call to a couple of things here. The other way that they really focus on new types of threats is that they use data modeling, or this is actually kind of a data testing. So they run these simulations live going out to the internet, where they're using this data saying, hey, I've detected a little bit of something, let me actually run that. So in essence, almost like a sandbox, but actually it's running off their data center and connecting live to the internet. So they run these automatically, analyzes millions of events per second, and this actually automatically uncovers different types of threats like malware, ransomware, and can uncover it before these even go live. So an extra layer potential of, protection for Cisco solutions. Again, one of the main pillars is going to be the SD-WAN under SASE, and some of the goals for this is automating and cloud-based orchestration. And we're hoping that this can be eventually with some work, zero touch or at least a low touch for onboarding that. Dynamic performance routing. Also, we want to be able to offer, or we need to offer some type of telemetry, analytics, smart thresholds, those types of things. Integrating security on a macro and micro segmentation, and that'll become a big thing with zero trust, which I'll talk about in a moment with the micro segmentation. Middle mile optimization, of course, things are going to change as far as applications, as far as users. So once we're up and running for a while, we need to be easily able to adjust these policies. And of course, being able to work with all of the cloud applications, whether it's one or two or multi-cloud access, and also sharing in between those clouds securely. And again, this typically falls under the networking side, but just to mention, 1,000 eyes, and how this operates is 1,000 eyes actually has deployed what they call cloud agents, and these are globally distributed agents installed and managed by 1,000 eyes. Currently, they're in 193 cities in 58 countries around the world, where these are running and feeding information about internet performance out there. So locally, we're going to run enterprise agents as well as endpoint agents on the local machines, which will be directly connected to your management interface, and you can share that with 1,000 eyes to improve, but not required. And it's looking at things like application performance, so we can actually determine, is this a problem with the actual application running on the device or locally or cloud-based, or is this actually some type of network issue? Path visualization, internet and WAN health. We can actually monitor the performance of different portions of the internet and may actually decide to take a different route to a destination based on some type of ISP center being down or something like that. Specifically monitoring BGP routes. So we can avoid using a BGP table that might be bad, and of course optimizing the remote worker experience. And again, that's 1,000 eyes for visibility. And to touch on some main principles of zero trust, and these are industry general principles. And the basic way I can summarize this is trust nothing and verify everything. Access to corporate resources should be determined by some type of dynamic policies, and they should be enforced on a per session basis and updated based on current state of the actual requesting device. So even though we trusted it last week, we don't necessarily want to trust it today. All communications to resources must be authenticated, authorized, and very preferably, if possible, encrypted. Authentication, authorization, these systems should be agnostic to the underlying network, just in case of that underlying network being compromised. And the enterprise needs to monitor and measure the integrity and security posture of all company-owned associates and assets. And where Cisco's Zero Trust solution comes into play is going to be the secure access by Duo. And number one, sure, it's an adaptive multi-factor authentication solution. We're going to look at, take a deep look at device posture and health. Once we do that and we're happy with the device, we provide least privileged access. So making sure we're not just granting the user an open door to all systems, just allowing them to access what they really need to access for their business reasons. And then also continuous verification. So even though they're online, they've been authenticated, compromises still can happen after that happens. So we need to continuously verify that user. And then also provide different types of behavior analytics. And of course, all of this can tie into the Cisco SecureX orchestration platform. And to give you an idea what we mean by device posture and health, these are an example of different policies you would be able to set up upon a user attempting to authenticate into the network. So we can check things like, is the operating system up to date? And at that point, we have some choices. We can even say, okay, there is a new update available, but it just came out 3 days ago. We can alert the user, okay, you're actually slightly out of date. We'll give you 1 week to bring that up to date and install the new OS. After that, we're going to deny you, or we could even say, nope, you're denied right now, go update, and then you can attempt again. We can check to see if the device is encrypted. Does the user have a passcode protection turned on? Is the screen lock enforced? If there's an ethical firewall on the device, has it been disabled? Is it turned on? And also, is the biometric enabled? So with my device, I happen to have an iPhone. It's very simple for me. When I authenticate, I get a push directly to my iPhone, and I have 2 great big buttons, allow or deny, and then it does my face scan to allow that in. So if that's a requirement, we can make sure that biometric is enabled. And is this device managed, or is it a BYOD? And then we can implement different types of policies based on that. And also, I had mentioned continuous verification. So there is another solution out there, antivirus, anti-malware endpoint device called Cisco Secure Endpoint, formerly known as AMP for Endpoints, been recently renamed Secure Endpoint. If you happen to be running that on the device, that can actually work with Cisco's Duo multi-factor authentication. So just for example, the user uses their device to access the system. And at that point, it can actually detect, hey, there's a Cisco Secure Endpoint running on this device, and Duo can ask Secure Endpoint, hey, I see you're running. Have you detected any type of malware on this device? And it can say, as a matter of fact, while it was offline, I have picked up some malware that is potentially a serious threat. And in this case, Duo can block access to the corporate resources. And at that point, Cisco Secure Endpoint will actually put that device into endpoint isolation, in which case it has no access to the business systems or cloud business systems. It has to be accessed by the security admin through that Secure Endpoint dashboard to remediate that threat before it's going to be allowed back onto the network. And then finally, for Duo, behavior analytics. This is called Trust Monitor. So it brings in a variety of authentication and access data to create a normal baseline of authentication activity for each user. And by creating this visibility, we have a good idea of, all right, how do they authenticate? When do they authenticate from where? So we can then detect what would be an atypical or not normal type of authentication attempt. So this could indicate, for example, if their business profile says they work in the US only, and somebody is trying to log in from a distant country, that would be a red flag. This doesn't always indicate things like that with this solution, but also might help us implement some different types of policies to avoid false positives and also, of course, block unauthenticated requests. Any questions thus far with any of the solutions I had mentioned while Tom and I switch over?
looks like we're looking good. You guys can continue.
All right.
All right, thanks a lot, Kevin. So I should have my intro slide to the next section up. I think you guys can see that. So the next piece of this SASE solution, so again, kind of to bring it together here, SASE is really a vision where we have multiple architectures being managed as one from one vendor. The next piece of that really is the cloud security of it all. And this is being done by Cisco Umbrella. So Cisco Umbrella is not what it was 3 years ago. They've really added a lot, like more than the kitchen sink, for example. So traditionally, Cisco Umbrella was really just DNS security with visibility and reporting, but they've enhanced it significantly. We've now got secure web gateway, cloud delivered firewall, cloud access security broker to manage our SaaS services, and a variety of other solutions here, combining threat intelligence, remote browser isolation, data loss prevention. And I'm going to go into some of these a little bit. Plus, this all integrates in with SecureX. So the idea is you have your SD-WAN that Kevin already talked about, your zero trust network access with Duo, and then we have the cloud security with Umbrella Secure Internet Gateway. So Secure Internet Gateway really has three main sections, the way I see it. There's the DNS security, which Umbrella has had for a long time, and that doesn't go away. It's still very important to block at the DNS layer. It happens very early in browsing the internet. There's also the cloud delivered firewall, which is new. It's been out maybe a year, but the cloud delivered firewall is a firewall in the cloud in Umbrella that we funnel our traffic through so we could do control and scanning there. And it can cover all traffic basically leaving a company or going to an internet. It's for protecting the network though, your branch offices, you connect them all through the cloud delivered firewall. And then there's the secure web gateway. The secure web gateway is part of the Umbrella SIG also, and this just looks at port 80 and 443, otherwise known as web traffic, and it has additional controls. All three of these layers can be used together or independently. You could just use DNS, really any combination of them when you're on a network. For remote users, roaming around, and we'll talk more about that, you have DNS and the secure web gateway, the two main features that would be used. So from a DNS standpoint, and this is not new, they continue to enhance this every year, their DNS capability. But the beauty of it is you could get the DNS going in minutes, deploy to entire networks, easily deploy to remote users with no problem. Block malware sites, phishing sites, command and control sites. Stops threats early. When you're browsing the internet, the first thing you do on the computer, that is look up a DNS request for the site you're going to. So we block it right there, so we never even make a connection to the bad site. On the right, there's a diagram of an advanced feature available kind of the mid-tier DNS product they offer, of blocking risky domains with intelligent proxy. So it actually will proxy a small percentage of sites that are kind of unknown sites and then do additional scanning on them. And that adds a lot of security too. But DNS is just a piece of the overall solution. SASE and Umbrella Secure Internet Gateway also have that secure web gateway. This is a full cloud-based network proxy, supporting remote users and networks, both. So all the traffic for web traffic is going to go to Umbrella and be thoroughly scanned in multiple ways. So first it will be decrypted, and you could do all traffic or selective if you want. And then it'll do for any files that are being downloaded, 2 antivirus engines plus their AMP engine, cloud-based protection will do scans in any files. You can do full file controls with this, where I can pick file types based on the actual files themselves of what users are allowed to download. So you could if you don't want them downloading development files or executables, things like that, or whatever file types you want. You could set those policies, and this works for in-office users and remote users, all these secure web gateway features. You also go beyond just blocking domain names. That's what DNS can do. This can block full URLs, so you could get a lot more custom with your URL filtering when doing the web gateway. This is also combined with ThreatGrid, now known as Secure Malware Analytics, which is cloud-based sandboxing. So if I'm downloading a file or going to a URL that no one's ever heard of, or a file that these engines never have seen before, it will send it to the sandbox in the cloud to run it there, or explode the URL up there too. So the web gateway, a lot of capabilities. Another one is app visibility and granular controls, actually. So this allows me not only to see what applications users are doing and to block applications, I could even say, based on the user, I'm going to allow them to download from a SaaS site, maybe like box.com, but not upload. I have that granular level control and increased reporting when I'm using the web gateway compared to just DNS. Additional features beyond those are not all of them. We also have tenant controls. Tenant controls allow me to pick 3 services today, just 3, but 3 popular ones, Office 365, G Suite, and Slack. And I could say if they're coming from my web gateway through it, logged in, they only could log into any of these 3 services with the domain names I allow, meaning they wouldn't be able to log into Office 365 with a personal account. So this gives the flexibility of making an environment more secure to stop users from putting data out to their personal accounts that aren't managed. So great feature. Another one is inline data loss prevention, also known as DLP. So this is, again, any traffic going through the secure web gateway can be scanned for data loss prevention. So there's 80 built-in classifiers. You can do custom keywords, do different policies for different users, plus robust reporting about who the user is, the files they're trying to upload, destinations, all kinds of things like that. So the built-in classifiers, those 80, those are different government standards from around the world. An example would be like credit card numbers, social security numbers. So this is a very powerful feature, again, for not allowing that stuff to go to the internet when using the secure web gateway. And again, that's for remote users or office users on the network. So very good capability. Another one is data at rest cloud malware detection. Most people are not familiar with that. It has this feature too. So there's several SaaS-based services here that it can scan. You set this up and connect it at an API level. And then if you're using Box or Dropbox, OneDrive, those type of things, this can go scan those sites for your users' data if they put data there. And it's scaling it with those same engines, that the web gateway are using. So this is an example of Box. It's scanning the particular user's folders and it's finding malware here that is on there, and then it can quarantine those files and you get reporting on it. So another great feature. Now another thing is about the remote access. So there's actually, with Umbrella, there's a roaming security client that they've had for years that does DNS, but you could also integrate into AnyConnect, and that's what I'm talking about here. This works on Windows and Mac, so there's a DNS security module for that DNS layer of security that supports intelligent proxy, allows for the users to securely use DNS wherever they are, on or off their VPN. It doesn't matter if they're on VPN, and they're protected at the DNS layer. Now this isn't new. They've had this for a number of years as AnyConnect security module. The newer piece actually is the Secure Web Gateway AnyConnect module, which allows the users, again, wherever they are, on network, off network, to get full web protection. So you do both. You have the DNS blocks things first, then the web gateway So this then secures all their web traffic, scans it, blocks things by policy, does thorough reporting. So this is a big piece of the SASE security is using this for the remote users, remote or home, traveling, that type of thing. Now, another layer I talked about was the cloud delivered firewall. So this is a firewall that exists in Umbrella that we're going to connect our networks to. So it doesn't really help the remote users, but if you're at an office, a branch office, the idea is we let any site-to-site traffic between our sites, if we're doing that with branch offices, go to the sites between them over the VPN using SD-WAN. But then any internet traffic, we're going to have go directly to the internet. But first, we're going to do an IPsec tunnel to Umbrella. So that's the key difference. And then we're going to scan stuff in the cloud delivered firewall. We can do application visibility and control, do layer 3, 4, and 7 firewall rules. And then for the web traffic for additional scanning over to the web gateway, which I just talked about. So that's the other third layer basically is the cloud delivered firewall. The cloud delivered firewall specifically, other than what I just mentioned, also has intrusion prevention for outbound internet access, going over those IPsec tunnels. So this will, be able to use their latest Snort 3 engine, which can monitor network traffic flows and help prevent attacks against known exploits and vulnerabilities, which will help block malware, botnets, phishing. They use Talos's signatures. Over 40,000 signatures are part of Snort 3. And this actually gets around some disadvantages of putting, we still like to have intrusion prevention on our next generation firewalls, but one concern is if there's performance can't handle it, we don't have that problem here because the cloud has basically unlimited resources. So any IPS coming through here isn't going to slow things down. And that, of course, is using a very, very popular Snort engine, Snort 3 being the latest. Now, we do have some use cases. The use cases being kind of tying all those together. There's secure remote worker and secure edge are the two. The remote worker, has posted challenges to IT departments because traditionally they relied on VPN, but users don't often connect to their VPN and then browse the internet. So that is a major issue. So we have to deal with that. They might connect from different devices, especially now that things are in SaaS services. So we want to make sure we're able to control that. The other challenges, because the users are all over the place, it's hard to identify gaps in the security. Visibility can be a challenge. So we need a strong integrated software to do that. And that would be Cisco SASE remote worker solution, which would be specifically Umbrella and Dual being the two main components. So Umbrella secure internet gateway, what I was just talking about, the DNS layer, the web gateway, and CASB features. Now I didn't go into CASB, those features were talked about as part of the web gateway. If we had another hour, we could go much deeper. And then Dual for the secure remote access, doing zero trust for network access. Now, additionally, there are enhancements that aren't officially part of SASE, but part of the remote worker is you could also add Cisco's mobile device management from Meraki, that's called System Manager, and then their secure endpoint product for doing endpoint security to round out the remote worker solution. And then AnyConnect is the client that ties into Umbrella now for those web module and DNS module. Plus, it could be used to VPN into your corporate network. The other challenge is secure edge. And secure edge has been an issue for a lot of companies that went with many multi-vendor solutions, which really lacked the simplified management. The more solutions you have from multiple vendors, the more management and less integration you have generally. It makes it much more difficult. And then lack of visibility across that in the multiple clouds. So for time, I'm going to kind of zip forward here a little, but we want to be able to protect users and devices at all of our locations and make sure they're all authenticated and have uniform policies. So that's where the Secure Edge solution of SASE is here with Cisco. And, it's incorporating their SD-WAN, and that again would be Viptela or Meraki is the main two choices. Now you can still use, like Cisco firewalls or other routers with Umbrella Secure Internet Gateway. It just wouldn't be part of their SASE vision to do it that way, but that would still work, of course. And Duo could be used with a variety of solutions, but using these all together is really their SASE solution, and they're trying to integrate it as we go. So there's lots of integration, but the goal is more and more simplicity from a management standpoint. And then to tie these together, Umbrella, is not only best of breed, but also is a single, not Umbrella, Cisco SASE solution is a single solution to tie all these together. Umbrella specifically being the pioneer in DNS and really the top player there. Duo, also same thing was from their zero trust standpoint. And Viptela and Meraki combined is the largest SD-WAN solution provider at Cisco. Now let's see, we might still have time for a real quick demo. So let me just go into Umbrella real fast. And just to show a couple things that have changed if you haven't seen them in the Umbrella Secure Internet Gateway. Any questions while that's coming up?
Yeah, sure. Actually, Tom, one question that has come up is actually speaking, I think, to what you just went over. There's obviously multiple components that can be involved in a full SASE solution. So the question is there a recommended place for organizations to start? Any one particular solution from your perspective where organizations should start taking their first step in this journey? And also with that, where do organizations actually most often start their journey? Is there any other particular product that you see most organizations already in or getting into first?
Well, it's kind of a trick question, I suppose. You can't tackle it all at once generally, unless it's a greenfield network. So I would start normally where the gap is. If you have a gap with your remote workers, that's would be one way to start, maybe with the secure remote worker solution, which is going to be using Duo and Umbrella, combining that with AnyConnect on the clients to tie it all together. Or if you're already good on the remote worker and want to work, and you're worried more about your branch management of your WAN, then there would be the Secure Edge. Are you currently doing SD-WAN or not? If you're not, you could still add Umbrella SIG and then move into SD-WAN after the fact. So these are building blocks with the vision of using them all together to provide that security.
Great. Yeah, it certainly sounds like companies should understand where they are in that journey to really decide where they should start diving in.
All right, terrific. So I just wanted to show a couple differences. I'm in Umbrella Secure Internet Gateway right now, and I actually do have tunnels established. These are IPsec tunnels coming. One's from an ASA, so that isn't officially part of the SASE, but you could use ASAs, Firepower, other brands to make IPsec tunnels to Umbrella. Also, I have a Meraki MX67 doing an IPsec tunnel to Umbrella, connecting to different data centers. So I only have one data center, so you could actually have multiple if you want to have even more performance, but it does redundant connections also. That's just one little view that people may have not seen. When I go to policies, from a management standpoint, I not only have DNS policies, but firewall policies, web policies, data loss prevention policies. I won't be able to really dive into them, but you can also look at the visibility. So when I come look at visibility of reporting in live traffic, I could blank these out here to get a little wider view. And now I'm looking at traffic through multiple firewalls, multiple ways it's connecting. So there's DNS blocks happening, firewall traffic blocking. And I could come over here and then zoom in if I just want to look at IP traffic or firewall logs or IPS logs. Much more extensive than it was if you just have the DNS filtering. So right now I'm looking at a firewall log of stuff going through the cloud delivered firewall. So I'm centralizing that traffic. So that's my quick demo. I'll hand it back over, and if there's any more questions or any final things we want to cover, let's go for it.
Perfect. Thanks again, Thomas. Certainly, as you said, have added quite a bit since their original acquisition of the solution. So lots to explore there. And actually, on that note, wanted to wrap things up by making sure that our attendees understand what some of their options are. And in fact, in working with Cisco and MDS, there are a few available. Firstly, certainly understanding where you are in this journey, as we mentioned, is a pretty critical part. And we can help do assessments to really gauge your posture in a number of different ways, hold some strategy sessions, particularly with regard to cloud security, or even take advantage of some workshops and POCs that span multiple days. In some cases, really dive deep into these solutions, get perhaps even some hands-on experience. So want to make sure that the attendees and viewers today understand that they should reach out to their existing MDS account manager if you're an existing customer, or use the contact details there on the screen to take advantage, if at all possible, of any complimentary services that we can offer. We'd love to continue the conversation with you and talk about where you are in this journey, and again, take advantage of any of the available items that we do have available. Other than that, I don't think we have any other questions to address at this time. I pass back to you, Lindsay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to our presenters, Kevin, Tom, Jason. Really appreciate your time. Excellent job. Just to echo what Jason had just stated, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to reach out via any of the offerings or emails listed. We are happy to assist in any way possible or have further discussions. If you do have more questions that were not answered, please feel free to send those along and we will get that back to you. And as one more reminder, this is recorded. If you need to go back and look at it or want to share it, it will be shared out after this session. Thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful day.